You're listening to I Love It When, and I'm your host, Mo. I'm a speaker, coach, and connector. You're in the right place if you're looking for some inspiration and you're ready to truly embrace who you are. My intention with this podcast is to help you see that you are so much more powerful than you realize. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I'm your host, Mo, and on today's podcast, we are very lucky to have my friend Katherine Litz. I'm really excited for you to hear her journey and hear more about her story and what she does. So I met Katherine at a local networking event called Engage Everett, and I feel like I had met her before, and I think we both kind of felt that way. And then time passed. It was many months before we finally connected and got coffee together. And as soon as we sat down and started chatting, I think we immediately both recognized that we had a lot to share with one another. And I, in particular, really loved hearing about Katherine's journey to become the healer, guide, and Reiki practitioner that she is today. And so I knew that at some point, when my intuition said yes, 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 now there would be a time when I would have her on the podcast. So I would encourage you all today, if you're listening, no matter where you are in your journey, if a lot of this is brand new to you and you've never heard about Reiki or you've never heard about being an intuitive healer, I would just ask that you, I'm such a visual person, it cracks me up. Turn on your curiosity knob is what I want to say, or your switch that turn your curiosity on, keep an open mind, and also pay attention to just how you feel in your body. And if there are certain things that Katherine talks about that really resonates with you, but you have no idea why, that's okay. Oftentimes, the way that I am led now, that I'm aware of it, is there will be certain places, people, objects, foods, things like that I have no idea why, but they just resonate and they call to me, and it's like, try me, talk to me, travel here. And rather than questioning those like I used to, I just follow them. And that's a lot about how you learn to trust and honor your intuition and follow it. It's just surrendering to it, not needing to know the why. And so I'm really proud. I just also want to say I'm very proud of Katherine for coming on the podcast and sharing her journey. It's a very vulnerable thing to do. There are many times in this podcast over the last 2 years where I've talked about topics that have definitely been hard for me to address because it's very vulnerable, talking about something that oftentimes many people around us don't share the same experience, or most of the time they're just actually not talking about it, but they're having it. So that's a lot of what Katherine and I talked about in this episode today. We talked about, for instance, one of her most recent Facebook posts. She shared this beautiful image of a dragon she had found, and she talked about how she experienced the energy of a dragon in one of her recent energy healings. And she was like, here I am putting this stuff out there. And she's just like, I've got to be okay with some people thinking, am I a little crazy? Or like, what? How did you know you saw a dragon? All these things come up, and you have to be willing to put yourself out there. But what I found is the more that we put ourselves out there, the more that our people are drawn to us, and we realize, hey, we're not alone in this, actually. A lot of this, a lot of this topic, the reason that I love talking about it on my podcast is because I truly believe that all of us experience this to some extent. We just aren't taught how to talk about it, and we aren't necessarily encouraged to, especially as women. So I'm having Katherine on the podcast for that reason, and one of many reasons. So the 411 on Katherine. Katherine is an intuitive healer, transformational guide, and master Reiki practitioner. She has been practicing energy medicine for as long as she can remember. Her healing gifts began developing over 25 years ago, working in the medical and dental field. P.S. I love this. This is where she began to comfort and assist in patient healing and stress reduction in both adults and children. The reason I say I love this is because I'm also very intrigued. I've never worked in the medical field myself, but I'm very intrigued with people who now are healers, because you just kind of sense what's missing in a lot of Western medicine. I digress. Going on. Katherine's private practice, More Than Physical, is located in Linwood, Washington. She offers one-on-one, in-person, or virtual and group healing sessions, and will soon be offering retreat experiences. Through her channeling and healing gifts, she helps to guide and empower her clients to peel away the layers of who they are not, revealing the essence of who they truly are as a soul. Katherine's energy has been described as powerful, warm, and nurturing as she channels guidance from the angelic realm. She has the gift of creating a safe and deeply healing space as she walks beside her clients on their awakening path of remembering that they are a powerful, energetic being. Through her facilitation of these energetic shifts, many of her clients' lives begin to transform out of the frequency of lack, stress, and fear into the frequency of abundance, love, and peace, guiding them to a space where they experience a sense of wholeness and freedom within. I love it when I get to witness the magic as someone. Okay, got to redo that. I love it when I get to witness the magic as someone realizes their true potential as soul. So, in this episode today, we talk about some of the signs that happened along her journey to become an energy healer, what she did prior to becoming a healer, and how that led her down this path. Katherine shares a few of her experiences that occurred during her awakening process, what she does to stay grounded, a little bit about her morning routine. I asked her about her twin flame journey and how she defines what a twin flame is. Super interesting. And then how you can work with Katherine no matter where you live, whether it be in person or virtually. And I'll just say from personal experience that I've been to one of her energy healings and sound baths at Urban Yogis in downtown Everett. It's beautiful, lovely, um, very amazing experience. So if you're anywhere in the area, I highly recommend coming to one of those. And I also have had a one-on-one session with her in her Linwood office. That was powerful. So I highly recommend her services. And I'm excited for you to hear this episode. Please feel free to reach out to Katherine with any questions if you're curious about her. Reach out to me, of course, as always. And please share this episode on social media and tag your friends. Get people to listen to it. There's a lot of power in what Katherine's sharing. Thank you so much. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I'm so excited to have Katherine Litz today with me on the podcast to share a bit about who she is and her story. Katherine, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for inviting me.
Totally. I'm excited. There's so many things we can talk about. Before we even started recording, I was like, if we go over time, it's totally okay, because this could be probably multiple episodes. With just a little bit that we've been getting to know each other over the last couple months. So why don't you start off by sharing with everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Katherine Litz. I live near Mukilteo in Washington. I'm a mom of 3 kiddos. I have a 21-year-old daughter who actually just had a baby, first baby. So I have a 2-month-old, almost 3-month-old grandson as well. And then 12-year-old
Wow.
twin boys.
Wow.
So yeah, single mom, and I am a intuitive healer, a master Reiki practitioner, and a transformational guide. So I started my own practice, and I run that now in Linwood, Washington.
Love that. So for people who may not know, I mean, if they're listening to my podcast, they have most likely seen some of the episodes that I've done with mediums and intuitives. But if you had to describe to people kind of what your day or your week looks like and the kinds of things that you do, what would you say?
Well, I do one-on-one healing and guidance sessions with clients.
Okay.
But I swear, people are drawn to me wherever I am. So,
Hmm.
or will message me or, that kind of thing. When I'm at a party, but I guess I really help to guide people back to their true essence, their back
Hmm.
to their soul, and help them navigate as things are kind of crazy nowadays in the world, and
Hmm.
as people are starting to awaken. I had a huge awakening, had a huge awakening journey. So it seems that as I learn and go through things, clients then are drawn to me, and I help them then through a similar
Hmm.
situation.
Hmm.
But yeah, and
Love
then
it. Well,
so
oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I also do. I started to do or been guided and pushed to do group healing sessions because there is
Yes.
so much need, and so being able to do bigger groups, and being able to actually have the same effect, I guess, in a
Hmm.
group setting, just versus one-on-one. So even this coming Thursday, I have a sound bath and a group healing session, and I've been doing those at Urban Yogis in Everett,
Hmm. So
periodically
this
through the
coming
month.
Thursday would be the 24th
Yes,
of
yeah,
October. So for people who are listening, this episode airs that day. So if you're listening, you're like, "Ooh, I should go." Is
that's
it in the
Thursday,
evening?
listening. So yeah,
Okay. All right. 7:30 usually?
7:30. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yep.
if you're listening, go to Urban Yogis tonight at 7:30 or follow Catherine. For some reason, so I told Catherine, like, I have my list of questions that I will have prepared for people, but I also know that I just go with the flow and follow kind of where spirit wants us to go. And so for some reason, I feel like this is just what's coming out there. Why would somebody work with you? Like what prompts someone to reach out to you, you think most of the time?
Most of the time, and it's really funny, a lot of people are guided to me, like they don't know why. They have
Yes.
no idea
I
what
experience the same
they're
thing. I
in
love
for.
that.
They come in and they're like, I don't know why I'm here, but I just like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, okay, don't worry about it, and it's fascinating because I get people from like, if you don't know where, but I mean like an hour, 2 hours north or an
Hmm.
hour south, and then will start
Hmm.
coming to me every week.
Hmm.
And so it really, and I don't know how they found me,
Hmm.
but really it's usually because people, they're starting to awaken more spiritually.
Hmm.
They're starting to see repeating numbers,
Hmm.
1111, 222, all of these,
Hmm.
and it's starting to come into their awareness that this is
Hmm.
not just
It's
a
so
coincidence.
often they're like, oh my gosh, what is the deal with
Right.
this? Yeah.
Right. Waking up constantly at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's,
Hmm.
the kind of the hour when the veil is thinner, right? And
Hmm.
there's, maybe their spirit guides are trying to wake them up, and, but also with everything on the news,
Hmm.
and then what happens as you awaken is that things that are no longer in resonance with you start to fall away.
Hmm.
But it's really scary when you don't know what's going on,
Hmm.
because you are holding on to an old job, because
Hmm.
the fear is like, well, I've been taught I have to keep this job. What
Yeah.
am I going to do for money? How am I going to, oh my, and all of these programming, conditioning, and thoughts start coming in. Their marriages start to fall apart, family, and they start losing friends and all of these things,
Hmm.
and they don't know why their world is crumbling,
Hmm.
which happened to me very drastically until I ended up homeless. And
Hmm.
and so I guess that, people that have seen me and been following my story, and then now I would say it's only more recently that I've started to really come out on the more spiritual side and the healer
Hmm.
side, because I could not say I was a healer for a very long time.
Hmm.
I did not want to be a healer. And that's the thing, like
Which
is
is so
when.
interesting, right? I just literally was on Marco Polo this weekend telling someone else, you are
Mhm,
a healer. It's okay.
mhm,
Because she was like, I don't even, how do I have the audacity to call myself a healer? And I was
right.
like, I know it's strange to say it out loud, but it's such an interesting term for people who have maybe grown up religious or in a certain church. And what is religion versus spirituality? But we are all our own best healers for
Yeah,
ourselves, and we're all healers for us and those around us. And
yeah,
so I think that's the part I love about your story, that with all the different things we'll talk about today, it resonates so much for me. And I know it'll resonate for people who are listening too, who maybe haven't ever had the opportunity to talk about some of this stuff. They just keep it inside and they're just like, oh, let me just continue to live as small as possible because this would totally ostracize me. This would take all of my people away. I would look crazy. I look strange. Like all of these fears, like you're talking about, come
yeah.
up.
And as you start to awaken, like, and come into this awareness, and more weird things start happening, um it's really lonely, because when
Yeah.
you're scared, like, I'm not going to tell anybody this, like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Like, Jesus showed up, like, are you out of your mind? Right? Or I'm going to be a healer, and the thing, and I had a very religious upbringing, so in saying that, the voice that kept playing in my head was, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Like, to say you're a healer. Like,
Yeah.
how dare you, right? The audacity to say that. But, I worked in the medical field for over
Yeah.
25 years, and, we, they're healers, right? Nurses and doctors,
Yes.
and so we are all healers, um, and have that capability, right? But we also have our own gifts and our different ways to heal,
Hmm.
and to heal ourselves. So
Hmm.
it's, it's now just now embracing that.
Hmm.
And I did try to go a different path, because I tried to be a massage therapist, um and yeah, God didn't care and did not want me to do that. And I was like, I'll just, okay, so people understand what that is. So I'll
Yes.
just have them and I'll do a massage, but then I can like do my little woo woo thing and then get in that, that way, or start telling. And, like when God has a plan and,
Hmm.
spirit is guiding you, like it just gets louder and there is a block.
Hmm.
It's like, nope, you are going to go this way until you surrender. Like, fine. Okay. I'm a healer. Great. Okay.
What would you
Now
say
what?
was like you've talked about some of them already, but what would you say were some of the weird, strange things that were happening that you were like, I can't deny that that something's happening?
One of the first ones was, I I was raised really, strict Catholic. And
Hmm.
one of the first ones is I had this huge, overwhelming, I don't know, feeling. And Mary Magdalene, like, just kept coming up. And every time I would hear her name, I mean,
Hmm.
I would start bawling. And I mean, like, crazy bawling, like
Yeah.
hyperventilating, almost bawling, to the point like, what is wrong with me? And like, I
Yeah.
know nothing about Mary Magdalene. Only thing
Yeah.
I heard was, wasn't she a hooker or something in the Bible? Like, I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is I just, it just kept coming up for probably, I would say, 6 months or so. And
Okay.
thank goodness I did have my mom. She's kind of, I guess, my guide, if you will, on here,
Hmm.
because she has been very awakened and spiritual, for many, many years. Has had a basically out of body experience, when she was 9, I believe, and didn't tell anybody for 40 years.
Wow.
Just kept that quiet,
Hmm.
and until she kind of, finally spoke out. She would see different, beings, and but more, I would say, more dark entities in the beginning. But thank goodness I had her.
Hmm.
And she did a lot of reading and research. She would send me things, and me being, just this twin mom with kids and all over, like, I
Yeah.
happening. I was exhausted. I
I
was
bet.
stressed out of my mind, thinking I was going crazy, and so thank goodness she sent me little things, but it was always in like perfect timing, right? And that's the thing, is as you start to wake up and realize, like, that's what these synchronicities are, numbers,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
different things, is like, oh,
They
like,
actually do mean something.
they really mean something. You were
Yeah.
really being guided. So,
Yeah.
um, so that was one, major thing, is I really started to feel her presence. I mean, to the point
Wow.
I was like, is she overtaking my body? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Um,
Hmm.
and then I guess I would say that kind of goes into another thing. I was, doing a healing session, in my living room on one of my friend with one of my friends. And I was doing a really deep, I guess, cleansing of her aura, and
Hmm.
of all the like attachments, right, to people and old things. And anyway, so I was just sitting on the couch kind of meditating, and all of a sudden a dragon showed up. Like, and I'm just sitting there, and there is, and my eyes are closed, but I'm like awake, right?
Yeah.
and and there is a dragon, and I'm thinking, what, I mean, the F is happening. I was scared out of my mind,
Hmm.
thinking, get away, you know, and to the point it would not, and it was almost like kind of go trying to get into my field, if you will. Um, so then I basically like called on Mary, like, Mary Magdalene, like, can you come help me? Like, please.
Wow.
And so I felt her kind of almost go into my body, if you will. Like,
Hmm.
is the weirdest, and like felt her, the like fabric.
Hmm.
Um, and then she kind of helped guided me kind of shoo the dragon off. And so yeah, that's like something I never tell people, like, are you kidding me? Don't anybody have their dragon show up. I got you. You know, like, you're not going crazy. Because
That's
since then, my
amazing.
showed up, and
Yeah.
yeah, and so I wasn't ready. So you'll get things you are not ready for, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's such a good point that you bring up because I think that description of how you felt with Mary Magdalene, almost feeling like she's taking over your body, that
Mhm,
right there was like one of my number one fears around why I didn't want to look into tarot back in my 20s, why I didn't like I felt like I was so unsure and fearful and had been told all of these things to fear by the church, by school, by friends. Like I'd been told what to fear and like feeling like something's possessing you was one thing that I was like, oh, that's why I will never do this is because I don't want to be possessed. And the more
mhm,
that I've learned, I've realized, oh, that was just a fear to keep me away from something that is actually within me, like my own power. So for
mhm,
those of you that are listening, I just want you to know, like, to keep an open mind and to stay really curious because at some point I decided, like, I don't ever want to let fear rule my life in any way, shape, or form. So whenever I'm afraid of something, I actually turn, face it, and go directly into it because I'm like, F that. I'm not gonna let something stop me from discovering something that could be really helpful for me or for other people. And so it's amazing to think about all these things, these energies that we have around us that are actually here to support us,
right,
cheer us on, guide us, heal us, and help us to really step into like the most exciting journey of our lives.
yeah,
I always used to tell people too that I felt like I was watching a movie with
mhm.
my life. Now I feel like I'm in the movie. Like, like
You're the star
talking
of the
about,
movie, actually,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
and
incredible.
that's funny because I just posted something on Facebook about, dragons and facing your fear, like, and going
Yeah.
into the fear, like, that's where you need to go,
Hmm.
and that is really and the thing is, some people are thinking, well, like, dragons, like, they don't exist looking physically, right? Like,
Hmm.
out into the
Hmm.
world. But the thing is, everything is energy, everything is
Hmm.
frequency.
Hmm.
So it is the energy of the dragon.
Hmm.
And so when my dragon showed up, or my dragon guide or spirit,
Hmm.
or the energy of what does that feel like, right?
Hmm.
That powerful.
Hmm.
So my dragon, when it showed up, came across and would be across right here. And and the thing is, I had so much such a struggle with worthiness, right?
Hmm.
And especially like worthiness, being a healer, worthiness of everything.
Hmm.
Even though I look confident, I
Hmm.
didn't feel worthy.
Hmm.
And so in that, like, the feeling of it helped me to
Yeah.
empower me and to stand taller. Like, when
Yeah.
this like this feeling of this drug, I'd be like, oh man, I'm a
Yeah.
badass, like, okay, thank you.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
something funny, I was like, yeah, it was a profound experience, right? And I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, I can feel this drag and like this power, and it
Yeah.
making me feel like, oh, I am worthy.
Yeah.
I am this powerful, like,
Hmm. I think
and
then I imagine like how you will go into other events knowing that you have this energy of the dragon with you. Like this is what I want people to hear too is it changes your experiences because if you know you have this energy on your side, you will go
Mhm.
into meetings differently. You will go into relationship conversations differently. You will address your life differently when you feel that support. And that's what I think I want people to hear from all of this too is like, there are energies waiting to support you. And once you tap into those, you will feel like a completely different person. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that you said that though, because I think oftentimes we just talk about the dragon or whatever it is that people feel, but we don't talk about how it helps us or like why that energy came into your life was to help you stand in your worthiness.
Yeah.
That's
And
so
it was,
cool.
and then figuring out later it's my left side, or my feminine side,
Yeah.
which was very meek, very weak,
Hmm.
very controlled. I was, easily controlled and manipulated and all that, because I was taught to be good girl, quiet, sit
Hmm.
there and follow the hierarchical male, right? My
Hmm.
dad was very, powerful, strong, masculine, excavator,
Hmm.
and I, heaven forbid, you go against anything he says, right? Same
Mhm.
then in the church. And so that's what I followed. So then getting married very young, it's like, well, that's what I need to follow. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know the answers. I need to look outside of myself and follow the answers, but also to be safe, right? And to
Mhm.
stay within the box. Cause if you go out of that, like, I mean, I saw what happened like with my dad and my older brothers,
Mhm.
and like, so it brought such fear into me to do anything wrong.
Mhm.
And so that was my feminine side, right? Not standing in her power, not being
Mhm.
the divine feminine, and trusting and being able to be soft and nurturing but powerful. And so that energy is what really helped me, on
Mhm.
that side. Um, and then it was pretty funny. Just one other thing is that
Yeah.
uh, it is funny because spirit and God has a sense of humor. So
Yes.
being very, raised Catholic, and like, everything is just so,
Somber. Yes.
somber, and so I remember sitting there talking to my dragon. I was like, thank you so much for being here. Like, I would love to know your name, and oh, I mean, just like, so this is amazing, and just whatever. And he goes, my name's Frank. And I lost it. Like, Frank, like, your name's Frank, like, but that's the thing, like,
Yeah.
everything is so serious, and it doesn't have to be like,
No, it's so
spirit
true.
God
That's
has a
literally like
sense
it's
of
supposed to
humor.
be joyful. It's supposed to
It
be. I was
is.
having this conversation with my partner Tom this last weekend about how for so much of my life, I realize I've tamped down my joy
Yeah.
because when I was too joyful or too much or too like
Mhm.
in that place, I
Yeah.
would often get told by people like, there's so much bad going on in the world. You can't be in your joy right now. That's like, that's
Yeah.
not a good thing. It
Oh, and
doesn't
then the
look good.
guilt. Like,
Yeah,
chill.
yeah, and we are actually supposed to be playful, joyful. That is where a lot of healing happens. Like that healing energy comes up when I'm in my joy, people feel it like a blast. It's
Yeah.
hysterical. But
Yeah.
I wanted to share too that I love your story about the name of the dragon because yeah, my guides are super playful because I'm already playful. So I could see this is
Mhm.
where I get like a lot of my ridiculous jokes are all from them and they think it's hilarious when I say them out loud. But even this last weekend in a meditation I did, this other guide stepped forward and I can't see them when I am in meditation. I just get a sense of the energy. It was a woman. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay, who are you? And she's like, I'm your travel guide, like in charge of travel. And I'm like, awesome. Like I want to travel more. I was like,
Yeah.
what's your name? Susie. And I'm like, Susie? That's so kind of just basic. And she,
Yeah.
it's just like, gotta accept it. It's
Yeah.
just, I think
Yeah.
that's the thing too that I've learned more than anything is trusting myself. And you can probably relate to that. Like you have to just
Yeah.
trust that what you sense right away, quickly, is typically your intuition. It's not like doesn't take a long time to sit with often. It's just we have been taught not to listen to it, not to trust
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
different, right? It's like this, it's a knowing. It's a
Yeah.
like gut, like, and that's right. I mean, I would say everybody knows this stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
people say things all the time, oh, the vibes, or,
Yeah.
my gut, I'm following my gut, right?
Yeah.
But putting in, no, this is actually a real thing,
It's a real
you
thing.
know, it's a real
Tangible.
thing. It's not
Yeah.
just, some like fad words or anything. Like
Yeah.
vibrations, everything is frequency, everything is energy,
Yeah.
everything vibrating, right?
Yeah.
Everything is molecules, and so
Mhm.
not just the spiritually or whatever woo, like this is science.
Mhm.
This is fact. This is what our world is made up of,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So
yeah.
what did you do before all of this? Because I think also that is interesting for people to hear. Um, because I just think it adds to your experience and to what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I was in the medical field basically my whole life. So I started off in pediatrics. Well, first I was a barista,
Mhm.
and I love clothes and fashion and all that. And but went into the medical field, went into pediatrics, and then uh, ended up going into oral surgery. And so I was an anesthesia assistant in oral surgery for 13 years. Um, and then that's when I found out I was pregnant with my twins. So I started a online skincare business, and so I built that business, and I mean, with, yeah, being home and with my babies and doing
Hmm.
conference calls and changing diapers and babysitting and all that. And actually ended up building a team of almost 800 people or so,
Wow.
and becoming one of the top 2% of the company. But it started to not resonate.
Hmm.
And I didn't know why. And then that's also when, like, as you awaken,
Hmm.
things start to fall apart. And
Hmm.
that was it, kind of at the point. So it was more, yeah, so to answer your question,
Yeah.
more, yeah, just medical field. And but the thing is that now looking back, I can see that I was a healer,
Hmm.
healing the
Hmm.
entire time, and
Yeah.
you gravitating towards my energy and me helping people through, because surgery is really scary for people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
their kids, and the parents are freaking out and all that. And so I was like the kid and the baby person. They'd I would give me, all the kids and the babies, and the parents, and I was just
Hmm.
able to put them at ease and calm them, and all that. So
Hmm.
I could definitely see where it started,
Hmm.
and that I really had it all along. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah. How long do you think did it take you to transition from that job that you had, the last one in the medical field, to now
Mm.
calling yourself a healer?
Um, well, I mean, to transition into it, it was about 11 years or so. It's been about
Okay.
11. Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds like there were different points in your journey, like when you didn't want to completely surrender. So like you became a massage therapist, but that was
Mm.
still not quite it. Like, how
Yeah.
did you end up like going as you went along? How did you continue to um well, this was one of the questions I wrote down. How did you continue to ground yourself during the time when you were awakening and becoming more aware of what you were consciously and unconsciously doing? How did you ground yourself then and now so that you don't feel like you're losing your mind? You know this is real.
Well, in the beginning, I did not ground myself. I was a mess on the floor. I was thinking I was crazy. I was, and then you put on your makeup and go back out there and everything's fine. And but that's the thing about this, is a spiritual awakening that I really do want it to share with people too, that are,
Hmm.
that it is lonely. It is
Hmm.
like, I don't know what's going on, but with stigma and mental illness and everything going, like, it is this feeling of totally out of control. And what is happening around, like, I can't control anything. And that
Yeah,
really it is, right?
lack of control.
You are losing control, because
Hmm.
it was an illusion anyway. You're not in control. Right?
Hmm.
That's the whole point. So you feel like you're losing control to show you that
Yes.
you were never in control in the first
Hmm.
place, right?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
there is nothing you are in really control of, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And or at least that physical, mental, like my mind, I am controlling things,
Hmm.
so that I was so not grounded at all. And the thing is now, um, uh, I guess it's right now, I just really listen to my inner guidance. I
Hmm.
listen to my body. I was so disconnected
Hmm.
before, with my body at all. I would say most of my childhood, I was I was disassociated. Like, I don't remember really my childhood. I don't remember a lot of things. Like,
Hmm.
I remember just almost being out of my body, if you will, and then this slowly, like, coming back, like, like, oh, I'm here. Almost, it was the weirdest sensation of, like, wait a minute, like, to come back. I don't know.
Hmm.
I remember I did tell a counselor that once, and she was like, "Oh." Started writing. I was like, "Oh shit, never. I'm joking. Never mind." Like, oh god, please don't tell anybody that. Cancel. But that is the thing, is that it's so lonely, right?
Yeah.
And out of control and all that, and you don't know who to turn to, right?
Hmm.
And that's the thing, is I'm hoping is for being vulnerable and sharing
Mhm.
all this craziness that I didn't want to tell anybody, right?
Mhm.
And I wanted to keep hidden for lack of, fear of judgment and all of
Mhm.
that. Is that, there are more and more and more people awakening, right?
Yeah.
On the planet is starting to realize that. And it's not, it's not only in our own lives, but right, echoing out in the world.
Yeah.
Everything's out of control and all of that. And it seems that way. It's not, but
Mhm.
it seems that way.
Mhm.
And or our perception is, and especially if you're in fear, right?
Mhm.
And you're in that in between when you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So now I really just have to tap in. I have to take that time and just really come inward again, and
Mhm.
to shut everything off, and to feel into and ask, basically, like, what do I need to do right now, and follow
Mhm.
my resonance.
Mhm.
What feels a little bit better? What feels a little bit more towards joy, right? When I say
Mhm.
follow joy, what feels a little bit better than worse? Like,
Yeah.
what, okay, this feels a little bit better.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're in the thick of it, right?
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about the scale of consciousness, and everybody kind of knows what that is, but the lower vibrations, so anger, fear, guilt, shame, all of
Mhm.
that, right? Then there's neutrality, and then the higher vibrations, love, joy, peace, all that. But if
Mhm.
you're in fear and you're or in stress or anxiety or all that, you're not going to jump all the way to joy, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of my clients are like, well, nothing feels joyful, like this all sucks. Well, the thing is it's in the moment,
Yeah.
is following just what feels a little bit better towards the
Yes.
joy side. So
Yeah.
if it is, I'm going to go take a shower,
Yeah.
like that, okay, that feels like, yeah, that that feels a little bit better to me, then
Yeah.
do, right?
Absolutely.
If it's like, "Ugh, I need to, I should reply to this email," and there's that, ugh, like, I just don't want to. Okay, that's not going in the direction of joy. Yes, you
Mhm.
may have to
Mhm.
reply to that email at some point,
Mhm.
but not right now. Follow
Yeah.
the now, because everything
Yeah.
is in the now,
Yeah.
right? And so that's what I do. So it is,
Mhm.
I have my whole tool belt, right? Like
Mhm.
getting out in nature and meditating and all of
Mhm.
that, but not all of them work at every time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And especially if you're in that fear, people are like, well, meditate or that. Well, my ADD type thing, is I don't have ADD. Don't want to claim that, but but that I can't sit there and go,
Mhm.
I'm going to meditate, right?
Mhm.
So what feels a little bit better in this
Mhm.
state that I'm at here now, to me now?
Mhm.
And that's what I encourage my clients to do too, is
Okay.
find the things, find your tools, and then ask yourself what feels a little
Yeah.
bit.
So would you say what does your like morning routine look like?
I usually I need a lot of sleep. And I
Mhm.
didn't, this is something that's really new to me. This is
Hey, me
another
too.
tool, is human design. Okay, no idea about human design, but I'm a projector. And so I would feel really guilty, right,
Yeah.
for sleeping or resting or that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And so that is the thing, is I do need a lot of rest because I put out a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And and that's also navigating my business too, and how many clients I can
Yeah.
see or how much I can do with that, as well. But yeah, so my morning routine is basically I just need to make sure I have enough rest, and then I get up and I do a meditation. And generally the very first thing I do is, almost before I open my eyes, is to say something I'm grateful for, or
Mhm.
gratitude. I try to really always start off my day, and that was when I was in the thick of it.
Mhm.
Is even if it was, I'm so grateful for my pillow. I am so
Mhm.
grateful for these comfy sheets. I
Mhm.
am so grateful, like whatever it
Mhm.
is, right? Is to start my day off with that, because
Mhm.
as your attention, as your energy flows, right? Where your attention
Yeah.
goes, it flows. So being in gratitude then you see more things to be grateful, right?
Hmm.
You start off your day with this sucks. Well, then you spill your coffee and then you're late and then there's asshole traffic, like people, right? Like there's all this stuff, right? So starting off with gratitude was really my main number one thing.
Okay.
Um, being quiet with myself for a while and whatever that looks like, if that's meditation or coming in my office here and kind of setting an intention for the day, kind of visualizing how that is, um, and getting my kids ready for school, my boys. Um, we started many years ago. Before they go off to school, we will sit down on the couch and say this mantra, and so I'll share that with you. But
Yeah.
so we say, just for today, I will not be angry. I will not worry, and I will be filled with gratitude. I
Love
will do
that.
my best work, and I will kind to everybody. And then they added every bunny when they were little. So that's kind of I guess, setting the tone of what we're trying to do,
Yeah.
and what our focus is. And then we say what we're thankful for, and then they're off to school. So
I
um,
love that.
yeah, yeah,
I
that's
think
kind of
that gives people a good picture too of I love how you talk about how in the moment meditation might not be the thing that you want to do and kind of letting your body tell you what it needs, whether it's movement or more rest, more sleep,
yeah,
but that there's a variety of ways to do that.
yeah. And I mean, and very basic is being in the
Hmm.
moment. So
Hmm.
I think I would say I started off with just um, being aware and
Hmm.
being present,
Hmm.
and just practicing presence, I guess, is
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I'm doing this, there is a chair, like, and just coming back to this instead of being in my mind and
Yeah.
all the things, is just breathing,
Yeah.
right? Take a deep breath and coming back to this moment, coming out and looking at my hands, right? Like
Hmm.
when I feel my mind and everything racing and all that,
Hmm.
that's something that I do a lot when I
Hmm.
feel myself starting to go off or starting to go everywhere, is
Hmm.
coming back to this moment. So which is what meditation is to be
Hmm.
present, is to be connected and with your breath and all of that. But if you're not there yet,
Hmm.
you can't sit there and meditate for 5-10 minutes, or is to come to the present moment, however that works for you. uh,
Hmm.
and uh and yeah, so I look at my hands and breathe, and you know
I love that. I think the part that when I talk to clients who maybe don't have a routine or have a hard time maintaining something, I think they're always surprised by how simple my own routine is. And I love even just that, what you talked about, looking at your hands, because it's like I feel like in order to be the healthiest version of me, you have to straddle this space of very much looking at the reality of what's around you. Like I see this cup, I see my crystals, I see my books, and at the same time allow myself to be in this place where I can sense energy of things that I can't see with my physical eyes. And so
right,
to straddle both, there are very simple things that you can do, but it's the fact that I think most people don't do things that are so simple on a regular basis. They don't think it's really worthy or applicable to them, or like it's actually going to work. And the truth is, it so works. You just have
yeah,
to experience it in your own body to feel it. Hey, I'm popping in for a moment to let you know that if you're interested in working with me one on one in a small group, or you'd like to attend one of my upcoming retreats, please reach out or add yourself to my email list. You can go to iloveitwhen.org and scroll to the bottom where you'll see there's a spot to sign up. I also love to speak, teach, and create experiences for small, medium, or large size companies. If you know someone that I should know, please connect us. I'm looking to utilize I Love It When to create global change, and that will require collaborating with all of you. You're all so much more powerful than you realize. Remind yourself of that today.
right. And I
Yeah.
have clients come to me with like big major things, like
Yeah.
major life events and things, and it's like,
Yeah.
right, they're seeking and they want advice and they want
Yes.
everything now and all of that. And
Mhm.
so saying to them, well, you just need to meditate and be present, and like, no, like, no, that's not it. I need this big major, answer. And like,
Mhm.
no, that is really it. And the
Mhm.
reason that is because when you are in mind, and so I will try to put it in this way and simply, I
Yeah.
guess, with clients, is that you have your mind or ego personality, right? And your mind is this computer hard drive of
Mhm.
everything you have ever learned and taught, all your
Mhm.
programming, conditioning, things you've seen, all of that is this computer hard drive, right? And then there is your soul, or your true essence of who you really are, right? at
Mhm.
at your core. um and I say your soul, right? And
Mhm.
but that is not your name, your age, your like
Mhm.
what you've done or anything like that, right? And the thing is that there's nothing wrong with that mind,
Mhm.
right? Keeps you safe, and that's our human experience. But the problem is when that becomes the master and not the sidekick.
Yeah.
And so the if you're following the mind, right, is you are not your mind, right? You are not your thoughts, and you are not
Mhm.
your emotions.
Mhm.
You're having thoughts and you're having emotions,
Mhm.
but becoming aware that you do not need to follow that. And the thing is that we are following it when we're asleep. We have follow it all the time. And no
Mhm.
wonder we're frantic and freaking out because, if you were like, you can argue with yourself, right? Like,
Mhm.
should I do this? No, I should do that. Well, which one is you? Well, neither one is you, right?
Mhm.
You, your soul, is the observer of that.
Mhm.
And then you, as soul, get to choose, right, what you believe, all that. But when we're asleep, we don't know we have a choice, right?
Yeah.
So all these patterns and conditionings of unworthiness and all of these are just playing constantly, and no wonder we're just all over the place,
Mhm.
right? And our soul, or who we are as our core essence, is only in the now. Like,
Mhm.
we are only in the now. Who I am is only in the now. But our mind, right, that then we follow, is in the past or future. So
Mhm.
it's thinking about all these past stories and
Yeah.
relating and to all of that. But then in the future, to what if this happens and what if that happens and all that.
Mhm.
And the thing
Mhm.
is also mind doesn't know what's going to happen in the future, right?
Mhm.
Like, but it takes all the stuff from the past and guesses.
Yep.
If we're following that, we're everywhere.
Yeah.
And then also I tell my clients, like, okay, so when you bring up a story, okay,
Mhm.
so say something happened to you in the past, and you feel sadness or whatever it is,
Mhm.
right? When you bring that up, you can feel that, right? You can start crying. You can be
Yep.
like, oh my gosh. Okay. Well, the thing is, our body doesn't know the difference
Yes.
between if it happened back then or if it's
Yeah.
happening now. So if we keep bringing up stories, we keep bringing up all this, or we keep worrying about the future and
Mhm.
creating this thing that might happen,
Mhm.
and we're stressed and we feel it and we cry and all that,
Mhm.
our body thinks it's happening right now. So we're doing
Yes.
it over and over and
You
over.
literally just said what I had in my mind where I was like, oh
Mhm,
my gosh, yes. I love when Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this because
mhm.
essentially we're putting our body through that stress,
Yeah,
thinking that it's happening right now
yeah,
all of the time.
all the
And
time.
when you
Yeah,
realize that, you're like, oh, well, no wonder my nervous system is
right.
dysregulated because
Shot.
I'm reliving this story of
Yeah,
that thing that happened 5 years ago. I'm
right,
reliving it every day, multiple times a day, or
right.
I'm thinking about the future. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? And it's like, it's not in the moment. It's not actually happening right now, but your body thinks it is.
Yeah, yeah. And the
Mind-blowing.
thing is like, not that it didn't happen, right?
Yes.
And that's with my clients that come with really horrific things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been through some horrific things.
Yeah.
And not that it didn't happen, and
No,
not to be
not to
like
discount it. Yeah.
compassionate. Yes, and that is, I mean, your body, your body holds on to trauma. It
Hmm.
is in there, and all the things you've suppressed there, it's in there, right?
Hmm.
And so not to, oh, I just shove it away or spiritually
Hmm.
bypass, right? Like, oh,
Hmm.
it's everything's love and light and it didn't happen and da 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 da, No, it is, yes, if it comes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to feel that emotion, but almost look at it, you know, from a bird's eye view,
Mm-hmm.
and not be like in it and consume yourself with it,
Yeah.
but to allow all of that emotion, everything to come out, but not to hold on to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
to keep thinking that's my identity. This happened to me,
Mm-hmm.
so now this is what defines me.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to, you could, that's totally your freedom.
Uh-huh.
If you wanted to define you, knock yourself out. But but
Yes.
that is the thing is, yes, that happened and it sucked, like, but also all the suckiness that has happened to me,
Mm-hmm.
I can now from this different point look
Mm-hmm.
back and see why I
Mm-hmm.
needed to go through all of that,
Mm-hmm.
why I had those experiences, what
Mm-hmm.
it taught me. And, to the point like, no, I don't regret anything
Mm-hmm.
or wouldn't have changed anything because it would change who I am right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I can make different choices now.
Yeah.
I can tell myself different stories,
Mm-hmm.
right? I could have stayed in the, I'm this poor single mom who's homeless and but
Mm-hmm.
all of that kind of stuff. And was that true? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also look at it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I can say whatever story I want about it, that they're all
Mm-hmm.
true.
Mm-hmm.
That, I am this, amazing business owner and I'm building this practice and,
Mm-hmm.
like I have these amazing kids and, I
Yeah.
have wonderful friends around me and all that. Like they're all very true in
Yeah.
this moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the difference is the power of our mind is,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to stay in the lower
Mm-hmm.
victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to release that, feel it,
Mm-hmm.
let all that go, and then reframe,
Mm-hmm.
shift your perspective,
Yeah.
and then,
Shift where your energy is flowing, like you talked
yeah,
about earlier, that
mm,
whatever story you're going to feed is the
mhm,
story that's going to come true.
yeah. And then just, and it's, and number one step is just
Mhm.
being even aware you are having,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, like I didn't even know I was really having thoughts, right? Like
Yes.
you're just on autopilot, right?
Yes.
And
I forget,
so,
like that reminds me so much of, I can't remember where I heard this from. It might have just been a little reel that I saw or something, but they were talking about how a habit, I think it was Bashar, a habit
mm,
is a habit until you notice it, then it's a
mm,
choice.
choice,
And I
yeah.
was like, oh,
Ooh,
okay.
ouch. Dang
Because yeah,
it.
I think once you
Yeah.
realize that's the empowering part, but it also can
Mhm,
be shocking for
mhm,
people when they think about,
right.
well, shoot, that means like I've been creating my own reality. I've
Reality.
been creating my, yeah,
Yeah.
you have. Like
Yeah.
once you're aware
Mhm,
of something and you are aware, like I'm aware now, that maybe even to the simplest thing of like I have too much coffee. I'm
mhm,
aware of that habit.
mhm,
I'm aware that it needs to change because I can feel my body saying something. So then it's up to
mhm.
me to make the change happen. And that's
Yeah.
where the rubber really meets the road. And I think people then have to make a choice at some point. Like, do you want to wait until you hit rock bottom?
Mhm.
Now I've decided in the last 10 years or so, I've made a choice that I'll never forget. I was like, I'm no longer going to wait until my body's screaming at me. I'm going to make the choice before. I'm going to
Right.
do the self-discipline and make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the thing is, and when you then say that, like you have been creating your entire reality,
Hmm. Hmm.
like everything in your internal world,
Hmm.
right, creates your external reality. Like that
Yeah.
is really how it works. So when people would come up and they're like, well, this person needs to change, and well, I'll be happy when, I'll be
Hmm.
happy, well,
Hmm.
when I get more money or when I do this, or and the thing is like it is empowering, but kind of that oh shit moment, like, well, what inside you is lack because you are
Yeah.
attracting that. Okay, what
Yeah.
inside you is attracting those same relationships, but you
Hmm.
have the same relationship
Hmm.
over and over and over,
Hmm.
just with a different body, with
Hmm.
someone else, but it's
Hmm.
the same underlying
Yeah.
pattern. And, generally it's like self-worth, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you're not worthy. Well, you are attracting, and this is another thing now being, first time 27 years, right? Being in the dating, arena, right? Like
Hmm.
last time I dated, we had pagers. So, it's like so different. But,
Hmm.
hearing women like say, oh, there's only jerks out there and this and how hard it is and
Mhm.
all that.
Mhm.
Well, yes, if you, that's where your attention, if that is
Mhm.
the story that you are saying,
Yeah.
if you are focused on the external, right?
Mhm.
And I need a guy that's like this and like this and like this and
Mhm.
right. And then they're very much in
Mhm.
their masculine,
Mhm.
right? But they want a masculine man in
Mhm.
their life, but
Mhm.
they're
Energetically, they're not
energetically
presenting
not
a match. Yeah.
right, right. That
Mhm.
that is different. And no judgment. I mean, I was
Mhm.
there, I was very much in my
Oh,
masculine
yeah, me too.
energy. Oh
Mhm.
gosh. And so having to like consciously tell myself like what is the energy of that
Yes.
feminine,
Yeah.
of a divine feminine, and like and to receive and to be
Mhm.
soft. And so I would have to almost
Mhm.
physically push my body back, right?
Yes.
When
Yeah.
I was feeling my masculine controlling,
Doing. Yeah.
doing all of that, I would have to be
Yeah.
like, I receive, I receive, I receive, and like and make that conscious shift,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it shifted right in my reality.
It's so
Then
good.
I would, like I would always go on a dating site, and this was a couple years ago, but go on a dating site and I would start to notice who I was attracting, and I almost
Mhm.
took it as like a, okay, I
Mhm.
want to see where I'm at,
Mhm.
right? Where am I at vibrationally? What
It's
am
so
I
true. You're making me
attracting?
remember, like, before I met Tom, there was, like, a year before I met Tom where I can look back now and see how they got increasingly more spiritual and
Mhm,
also more aligned with who I
mhm.
was and who
Yeah,
I wanted in my life. It's cool. Like, it's so cool
yeah,
to look back on and see that.
yeah. Yeah, and more like respectful, right, of my
Mhm.
time and all of that. But the
Mhm.
thing is, I didn't realize I wasn't respecting myself,
Yeah.
right? And that's that like hard thing. Like, where are you not respecting you?
Yeah.
Where are you feeling the unworthiness? Because if you're looking externally for it, you're
Mhm.
never going to find it, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
all of that is inside
Yeah.
first. You
Yeah.
got to do it in here first. And
Yeah.
then vibrationally, when you
Yeah.
are then a match for that, then it will show up,
Yeah.
in
I love
in
talking to people about the frequency that you're bringing up and the vibration stuff because even for people
yeah,
who may not be consider themselves spiritual, everybody can understand or make sense of the science of frequency.
yeah,
And that if what you're emitting, the frequency you're emitting is not a match for something, you are going to repel that. It's going to be repelled from you. When you start
right.
to think of it like that, and like, what am I doing in my day-to-day life, and what am I calling in energetically? All of a
Mhm.
sudden, people can see things in a completely different way.
Yeah,
Um, as we're talking about relationships, I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about the twin flame journey. You don't have to share as much about your
yeah,
experience, but I think I want to talk about how you define it
yeah,
because
yeah.
this is one of the things that Catherine and I first talked about when we sat down for coffee a couple months ago. And I was like, mind blown. This
Mhm.
makes so much sense to me now because I've heard it spoken about in a lot of different ways. And
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've necessarily met my twin flame.
Mhm.
Um, and I saw it the way that you explained it, but the way you put it made it even more clear to me that a lot of the ways that people talk about twin flame journey is not actually what it is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there is so much misinformation out there about what a twin flame is, and they
Mhm.
make it very romantic, right?
Mhm.
And not that it can't be or isn't or whatever, but
Mhm.
that is not the purpose of it. And most time when people are talking about this amazing and they compliment you and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
that it's a soulmate, right? And even to the point, if you see videos of twin flames talking about their journey,
Yeah.
uh, they're, I mean, in my perspective, is they are not twin flames. So let me let me go back.
Yeah.
Is I would say it was almost 3 years ago, um, and this is like my fourth spiritual awakening. So a twin flame journey is really just your awakening journey. Um,
Okay.
is your soul's path, but the path was through the activation from another body.
Okay.
So how our dimension works, our third dimension now is based in duality. So the principles, right, are Duality is that everything has an opposite charge,
Hmm.
right? So positive, negative, a North Pole, South Pole,
Hmm.
fear, love, you know, uh, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
masculine, feminine, high, low, black, white, like,
Yeah.
right, light, dark. I mean, literally everything has a positive and negative polarity, including your soul.
Mm.
So our soul, so there is, we call it like your over soul, right? So when we talk about, and this will probably get really deep, hopefully I don't lose everybody, but
No, it's good because even if
is,
they don't understand it, if
yeah,
it resonates with you, if you're listening, you're like, I don't know why, but this really resonates. That'll
hmm,
give them a reason to reach out to you. Because there's stuff that I heard before I fully understood it that I was still felt so pulled to.
yeah.
And the way you describe
So
it is you do a really great job at describing it. Like,
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. So you know, God or the universe or whatever it is, think about it's like an ocean, right? And your soul is a drop of that ocean, right?
Yeah.
But within that drop, like, is the ocean, right? Okay, so that is your over soul. When you are incarnated, if you will, and you come into your human experience in
Hmm.
this dimension, right? We come into a body, our entire soul is not in this body. Only, I would say, part of our soul, but we are connected, right, to our higher self or to God, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And then, and again,
Hmm.
um, whatever word resonates with you. So people say God or nature or spirit or
Hmm.
whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter. But you are part of that. Well, coming into this density, we have to follow the same exact principle, right? Of positive and negative charge.
Hmm.
So our souls um, have now a positive and negative charge in two separate physical bodies. One is the conscious mind, the other is the subconscious mind. So positive and negative, or masculine, feminine.
Hmm.
And gender doesn't matter because
Hmm.
I have several friends that are men, but they are the feminine charge in the twin
Hmm.
flame experience, whatever you want
Hmm.
to call it. Um, and so I met this person, right? Like through a dating app. And and the thing is that it's, some people are, we all have twins, by the way. Okay, but not everybody, you can meet them. I mean, there's people that are actually, been married to their twin for many years or whatever. But when your soul decides you're ready, it will activate. Okay, you will then have soul recognition that this is your soul, the essence of your soul, not the ego personality, because they're having their own human experience. It's basically like um, you having a different lifetime, your different
Hmm.
lifetime, right? If you resonate that, I was once a, Native American, or I was a this or whatever it is. So basically it is like that, another incarnation of you or your soul having a different experience.
Hmm.
But it's the subconscious part, because you can't have two conscious parts, right? Because we're talking about duality. So anyway, met this person, thought it was a normal date, and it only lasted for a very short amount of time, because at whatever time your soul decides that it's going to activate, or you are going to have soul recognition, it like, I again can't even describe what this is, but what happens is that first there's this bubble love phase, if you will, is that is this person is like, you are so magnetized to each other, like it is like coming home, like, oh my god, they are everything I have ever wanted, and it's like perfection. The thing you don't realize is that is you seeing your energy.
Wow.
But you don't see that, right?
Yeah.
Because we are looking externally for external validation, for
Yeah.
this external person, for somebody to fill us, our perfect match, or whatever that is. But the thing is, it is you. It is
Hmm.
all within you. But when the twin flame journey is that no, you have this actual other body that is like it's forced spiritual awakening to realize what is within, but also what your subconscious is. So
Hmm.
in the very beginning, in this bubble of you are just like, this person is the most amazing, magical person I have ever experienced, to the point that it's like an obsession almost,
Hmm.
right? Until the energy starts to build too much.
Hmm.
And then the polarities flip. And now that polarity is repelled. So, or the positive, negative, it
Yeah.
was too much. So now it doesn't matter. You can't come together at all. But the thing is this other body is your subconscious. And so it will reflect to you. So when you meet somebody, right, and they trigger you, right? They trigger something within you. Well, if people know that, right? It's not
Hmm.
that person, that's something in you that's being triggered, right?
Hmm.
But when you start to realize like, oh, everybody is a mirror reflecting to me what's inside, what
Hmm.
distortions I have within me that need to be alchemized, right? And
Hmm.
it's generally it is childhood things or the lower density of fear,
Hmm.
abandonment, lack, unworthiness, right? Are
Hmm.
kind of your top ones. Okay.
Hmm.
So you that's reflected in people all around you. The entire world is reflecting that to you, right? But what happens in this dynamic is it is you now looking back at you, showing you in a physical way, in a physical
Wow.
experience, exactly what you're doing to you.
Yeah.
So if you are feeling that unworthiness, they are going to show you how unworthy you are. They are
Yeah.
going to reflect that in a way back to you. And until you start to balance that, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was it first the bubble up and then the soul recognition, and after that you are on the floor, and that really was my major,
Yeah.
spiritual awakening. Is I would be bawling on the floor. I would His name would come up, or there would be something. And the thing is, again, wasn't that person, they're not consciously doing it. Again, it is the energy, and everything is
Hmm.
energy. So just as I didn't know, right, like, why am I acting so crazy? And
Hmm.
that's the thing. If there is twins out there, like, you become this crazy, like, and the thing is the reason that is because the energy has to become so heightened, right,
Yeah.
for you to recognize it, or else
Yeah.
you wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
You're all these subconscious patterns and blah blah blah, but until
Yeah.
it's so in your face, and you are like, put this person on a pedestal,
Hmm.
right? And then they do something, it is like, oh my God, this is horrible,
Yeah.
right? You're nothing's gonna change, right? And so that's why it's force. It is you staring you in the mirror, that you and the other person doesn't even know like why they're doing it. They're just
Yeah.
doing their own thing,
Yeah.
and energetic. So also as you are putting focus on them, they will put it on anything else.
Okay.
So that's where the coin like runner chaser thing is. But it's just the opposite charges now being
Repelling.
flipped, and it's a magnet. It is how energy works.
It's so
But it's in
interesting.
a physical body.
So do you think
So
that some people meet their twin flames because they need that very physical awakening?
mhm,
Like there's something that the
yeah,
other things have not been working.
yeah,
Like however spirit was trying to reach you before wasn't loud enough, it didn't catch your
yeah,
attention enough. So this was used in order for it to really happen.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Like, and I mean, not everybody is awakened in this way, or
Hmm.
awakened this rapidly and with
Hmm.
this uh, physical or visceral of a
Hmm.
way, but absolutely it's that's, I guess, my experience, my take on it,
Hmm.
when you are on this journey and you hear about it, then you just start researching anything and you are grasping again
Yeah.
outside of you for
Yeah.
anything to make sense. Anything like, and how do I get this person back? And
Yeah.
but then as you awaken, as you do the inner work, as you do all of that, you do realize, like all of you realize, that everything is within, that
Mhm.
all the answers are within. You don't need to be seeking. Nothing outside is going to validate you.
Mhm.
Nothing outside of you is going to create that wholeness.
Mhm.
The wholeness is within.
Mhm.
And that is the paradox of everything, right?
Mhm.
Is if you are wanting money or whatever and you are searching for it and you're trying to grasp it, well, the thing is you're in lack energy, right? So
Mhm.
then what you're putting out is more lack, so then what you're getting out is lack, right?
Mhm.
Instead of coming in and being in abundance, being
Mhm.
in joy, right? So being in wholeness,
Mhm.
knowing that there is nothing outside, that is then what then will attract them back into
Mhm.
your awareness. And then you do get to choose if you want to have an actual um, relating experience, because it's not, it's an energetic connection. It
Mhm.
is not a 3D paradigm like of like a soulmate contract. Okay,
Mhm.
it's not a soulmate contract. That is
Mhm.
two separate souls, right? And so you can talk about different things, but with your own soul, your own subconscious basically, and this is where it gets really deep, is that it is all based on your energy.
Yeah.
So you have to keep your energy and maintain your energy in balance
Mhm.
for them to even be in your, to be able to even be in your space. And that's why a lot of twins are like, they left, they've been out of my life for 10 years or whatever
Mhm.
it is, or 3 years or however long. And when are they coming back? When are they coming back? Because they're always there. There's
Mhm.
always this pull, or this, they comes into your awareness. And the thing is because it's you,
Yeah.
right? So your
Yeah.
soul is not gonna, like, you can't get out of it. Right? So the thing is that eventually, as you do your work, they will then be kind of start coming back into your awareness. But it
Mhm.
really, it's all your own energy.
Mhm.
Just like everything else, you are creating your own reality. It is
Yeah.
your own inner world that creates your external reality, or
Yeah.
manifests itself, right? So in a twin flanger, it's just that you then manifest a relating experience with your own soul in another
So
body.
fascinating.
So
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Uh, so
Mhm,
thinking about that and thinking about the different people that you serve in your business,
mhm.
what are you doing or wanting to do more of in this business? Because I know that this is still kind of on the newer side for you to for this to be
Mhm,
full time, like what you're doing and what are you
mhm.
wanting to do more of? Like where's your energy focused right now?
So I've started to notice that, like, I do one-on-one um uh sessions with clients, but like I can only do so many within a
Hmm.
day, right?
Hmm.
And I only have so much energy. And the thing is that I do kind of teach the same thing,
Hmm.
right? And so saying it over and over and over again is spirit's really pushing me to do podcasts, to do videos, and to do more group events,
Okay.
and more speaking events and that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
I can then share this,
Hmm.
but then also with energy work,
Hmm.
and doing more of the guided meditation, and then doing more Reiki type, if
Hmm.
people know what that is, but more energetic healing,
Hmm.
in a group setting is kind of where I'm going. Um, and then I've also been kind of invited to do retreats, so I'm
Hmm.
really excited to start on that journey as well. And
Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, if people who are listening want to reach out to you today, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So I do have a Facebook page,
Okay.
and a landing page, and hopefully I can have you put a link
Hmm.
to that. But either my personal or my business page, to send me a message, and yeah, get a hold of me through that, or through email, and I'll have you, I think, link that as well. And
Totally.
so,
And
yeah,
your office is located in Linwood, Washington, but like you mentioned earlier,
yeah,
you can do online Zoom sessions with
yeah, I
people.
do.
Doesn't matter
Yeah,
where they are.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've done sessions with people in England and kind of around the world as well. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I have a feeling this will not be our last podcast episode together.
yeah,
I feel like this feels like a natural place to kind of end for the day. But there are many things that I have a feeling we'll be talking about online in various forms, you and I, over the next couple of years.
yeah.
Um, well, cool. I always like to ask everybody at the end of each episode, what's your current I love it when for the world or for yourself right now?
So I love it when, and I had to kind of write this down, like, putting me on the spot like that. But when I love it when, like, I do get to witness somebody, kind of realizing their potential and their true potential as soul,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
coming back to soul, and not their mind, right?
Hmm.
And that they're creating their own realities. So yeah, they are powerful, and it's magic.
So much magic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for just
You're
sharing everything that you shared. I know that it's going to resonate with a lot of people who are listening, and I love the work that you're doing. I love the work that um, I think can see this community building around us more and more. So thank you for being brave and for
you.
sharing.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. This was
Totally.
fun. I was scared, but this
You
was
did really, really well.
this was great. So thank you. I look forward to more.
Totally.